What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyrball Games, bringing you my first place Altergiest Numeron, or Numeron Geist, or Geist Numeron, however you want to say it, profile. Now, I took this to locals, got first place, went 3 wins and 1 draw, faced up against Cyber Dragons, Marincess, Orcus and Dinos. Now, I'm not saying this is the best deck ever made. It's a good deck. It's got the balance between control with the Altergeist, but also control with the Zexal as well. One of its biggest issues is even with the Zexal, it still doesn't have that killing punch. If your opponent is able to ride out the couple of turns that you lock them under Zexal, it does really give you issues, which is why I ended up drawing with Dinos, and ultimately I should have lost that game. So, with that said and done, please smash the like button, hit the notification button and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more Yu-Gi-Oh content. This is purely being shown to you guys just to kind of show you what Altergeist can do right now, the combination between the two and what they kind of operate together. So with that out of the way, let's take you through the profile of Altergeist Numeron. So we've got triple multi-faker. I actually think I did alright with this. I didn't see it in my opening hand like crazy amount of times. I didn't brick on it. So I got quite lucky with this. It's nice to have it back to 3. Very, very good card. I found myself searching it out off of Seal Quitters a couple of times and off of Spoofing as well. Not Seal Quitters, Melee-Seek. Triple Mr. Melee-Seeks, really good card, really important. This actually won me one of the game's best 2 out of 3 against Dinos, purely because I had Network and I had Melee-Seeks on board. So I normal summoned the Melee-Seeks, I had Spoofing already face up, I went to go to battle phase with Melee-Seeks, I had Protocol in play as well. So my opponent had a UCT, he activates a UCT, I changed Spoofing, put this back into the deck, search something out, UCT resolves, and then I can activate Network, put down the OT, and then I put down the Numeron OTK and win from there. So that's kind of where I got lucky on that bit. 2 Marionetta. Now, I thought this was a little bit weird when I started off with it, but the idea is that you kind of want your Network to be your first card played, then your Marionetta follows up from that point onwards. So I didn't really need it at 3. I searched it when I needed it off of Melee-Seeks, and you kind of have to keep in mind that when you make the Zexal summon, you can only summon 1 more turn, which is your Zexal summon. But then setting a card doesn't count as the summon. So you could actually set some of these cards, but the only one worth setting is the Melee-Seeks, just for it to be destroyed and for you to get the search. But if you're locking them under Zexal, Zexal is going to be their main target. Double Seal Quitters, I think I opened this up once, was a bit of a pain, but didn't really end my turn, thankfully, and Seal Quitters puts in a lot of work. The idea is that you're supposed to be able to back your board up with, or protect your Zexal when it goes to lower attack and defense, with a Seal Quitters, with a Protocol, Spoofing, Melee-Seeks, the whole 9 yards. The 1 Kinkuri, again, puts in work, it's always nice to have this at 1. Triple Numeron Wall, I actually really hated this card before I played this profile, because I was kind of like, I hate cards that say if you control no cards. But then I was like, alright, well, it's a battle effect, can do whatever. And then because it's a quick effect, what was really nice was dropping this, if my opponent went first, was dropping this during my opponent's end phase. Because then, they knew I had a Network. So straight away I had the Network. I was going to be able to go into either the OTK, I was going to be able to go into the Zexal. So that put them under pressure already. And then if they couldn't deal with that Network, I've already deck thinned. My top deck's going to be a little bit better. The only time it ever sucks is if you open up with both the call-ins. But then even then, you've already set yourself up with no monsters. And I kind of played it that route, rather than mainly to go into the Zexal lock, then follow up on the turn after that with all my Altergeist monsters. And obviously drop in multi-faker during my opponent's turn. For the hand traps, I went with 2 Ash and 2 Ogre. These can be any hand traps you want. I just did a 2 and 2 ratio. For the draw power, I went with triple Extravagance. I'd probably actually go with Memories of Hope. It was a bit if and or. So like this it's good if you don't banish all your materials. So like luckily I didn't banish all my materials when I actually played the tournament. But then there was times I was like, oh, the Numerons of Hope, or the Number of Hope, would have been better draw power. So this one's just more generic and can be played whenever during a main phase. But then the Memories of Hope just gives you that either additional draw or additional 2 draws, but it does mean you have to set your numbers up. So it's a give and take with both parties on that one. Triple Network, double calling, standard on this. I main deck Triple Judgment. I wish these were strikes. This was mainly in here just to kind of, if my opponent opened up like Harpy's Feather Duster or Lightning Storms or anything like that, I was able to protect my stuff. And it also meant that if my opponent tried to imperm or tried to stop my Zexal in one way or another, I would flip the Judgment. Now, I actually had to play very, very carefully against a Dino player because I know that he played Gamma. So, like, every time during the standby phase, I would have to hold off the Zexal because I would hold off until he put a monster on board, which meant I could bypass the Gamma because otherwise I'd activate his Zexal effect, they'd Gamma me, and probably pretty much from that point on, I'd be OTK'd. Triple Imperm, turn 0, Multi-Faker, Seal Quitus, broken. Triple Spoofing, if it was an Altergeist card, broken. Such a good card. The only downside of it is it shuffle back in for cost, so if you do get Ashed or this gets popped, then you do kind of neg one. But other than that, you're able to protect your cards, you'll be able to loop your cards. And what makes this even better is, once you've used up your board, if you've only got one monster on board, you can put this back into your deck, add a Multi-Faker or a Melee Seeks or even a Marionetta to set yourself up, and then you've got your Numeron network place to go. Double Protocol, again, really, really weird, but because I'd cut Marionetta down to 1, I wasn't relying on this as heavily, which is why we also got the 1 Manifestation. And then for the last one, I also got the 1 Imperial Order, and the one card that I realised when I tried to activate it, I made a mistake, and that's the Dogmatic of Punishment. So I put this in here because I was like, right, okay, well, once I've set on my Zexal, I can actually blow out my opponent during their end phase by going Punishment, send Unst, pop one of their opponent's monsters, if they've left it face up, of course, and then pop another card. So I could clear the 2 cards off, not need to go into my extra deck the next turn, because my next turn is going to be like normal summon Melee Seeks or normal summon Marionetta, clear off another monster, Zexal in for 2k or whatever. But then I realised when I show you the extra deck, I actually only had like 1 target that was going to be good enough to send off of this. So this was being sided out. But ultimately what you can do is you can change the deck around in order to accommodate the punishment a little bit more, and put in like an inst as well. More so if you're going to play Memories of Hope, because if you're going to play Memories of Hope, you can actually cut down the ratios of some of the cards you're playing. So moving on to the extra deck, of course, we've got the Numeron package, we've got double Zexal. I don't think I ever resolved it, might have resolved it twice once, but double Zexal, double number 4s, double number 3s, double number 2s, and double number 1s. So obviously the idea is, because we're playing Extravagance, we needed to make sure that we didn't banish like all of our copies. You need to have at least 3 numbers left, because then that's how you make Zexal. You always run into Nibiru territory if you bring out 4, and in my opinion, unless you're going with the Memories of Hope draw, you never want to summon off 4 off of it, unless you're going for the OTK as well. We've then got double Hextia, straightforward on that one. The 1 Relinquish Anima and the 1 Link Karibo, and then finally with the 1 Infinite Trap Fortress Megalops. Never made this. I probably should have done against UCT, because then they would have just really, really struggled to get past it because it can't be flipped. And they would have been able to have to find a way to boost or get rid of it by making an XYZ. So this would have been a very, very powerful towers against them, and it probably would have been better and served me better if I did make this over the Zexal at some point. But yeah, that's it. Very straightforward, very simple deck. I don't think I'm going to be playing this again. It's not my particular... like, I like Altergeist, but I mean, playing this at the locals, the weaknesses were quite apparent to me, or its fragilities, really. And it was the Numeron engine that kind of carried it through. The Altergeists were good in it, and they really do help kind of like help each other out. But I think the Numeron engine was kind of the go-to there. But in other Numerons, like the Guru Numeron as well, they just have that ability to kind of win the game afterwards. So like the idea is you'd go, all right, cool, make Zexal, set a Guru, Guru sets stuff up, gives you additional plays in different setup. But then ultimately after that point, you weren't really able to go anywhere you needed to. It didn't really make much of a difference. The one thing that Altergeist, in my opinion, have always lacked is that killer instinct. And if they can't maintain their hand advantage, if they can't maintain the general control, then you can struggle and you will kind of lose at a certain point as well. So you have to be very careful when putting this deck together. And yeah, I don't think the Numerons have actually answered the fragilities that this deck still kind of has, in my opinion anyway. Still good, still got me first place, and the first place ended up getting me an Ulti Super Poly, so I can't really complain too much about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and as absolutely always, guys, stay safe and happy dueling.